Hello.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
We're
Everybody's
alive.
caffeinated and ready to go.
Yes, yes. And now that we're live, do not say anything incriminating. Do not use
Flying or otherwise.
right, right. I don't even think air quotes will save you at this point. Um,
Oh, yeah.
while we wait for our friends to come on, I'm going to update some descriptions like on Twitch because it never gets the go live notification right. But we are welcoming Paul on. Paul, you own Rhodes Marketplace out in Sandusky.
Correct.
And you've had some stuff happening from
Yeah.
would you say like from day one?
I would say probably like 2 to 3 days in, because I know like the first couple weeks we were just painting and there all hours of the night. I would say probably when we opened our first actual opening day, which my memory is gone, but I think it's May 2nd was our opening day. I would say probably from like the 5th on, it's been very interesting.
Okay. Now you were saying the previous owner, when you were like, "Hey, this place is wonky," he was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. So the previous owner is a little out there sometimes too, but he did say some pretty crazy stuff. He said that they had multiple people that had heard like what would be like a chain dragging on the ground, or the bathroom in the back room, which, I mean, you're familiar with the back area, but the bathroom in the back room, they said that like someone would be in there after hours when the doors are locked, and they would have someone trying to force their way in or like knock on the door. And they used to call them like the bathroom wanderer or something like that was the name they gave them. They said that they've had issues with like the lights coming on and off randomly, which I know you've been there a couple times. You're aware with the lights just randomly flickering on and off, but he blamed that on that as well. He did say that a few of his employees had actually said that like they felt very heavy, like they had like a weight on them, like a blanket that would be like weighing them down. He said that there was some people that had gotten sick at one point when they were trying to do their own home remedy to figure out who it was that was there. And they actually said that at one point there was some destruction that was caused as well.
Hmm.
Now, the only destruction that I have experienced is, and I don't know if it's just a coincidence or if it's that, but I had the movie screen in the back room, and it's like a metal rod that has the screen that's glued to it, and you roll it up, kind of like the old school ones. Well, the day of the wrestling pay-per-view I was going to host, the screen was unrolled on the floor, but the glue was still intact to the point that my skin was sticking to the glue. And it looked like something had stepped on the screen itself. Like it looked like there was footprints or like a creasing in the screen that wasn't there the night before when I left.
Huh.
So definitely some odd occurrences, to say the least.
Maybe they don't like wrestling, or they didn't like who the main wrestler
Maybe they
was.
didn't like the main event for the night, right?
Right,
I think
right,
it gave some of them some flashbacks. I think is going to be a lot of this
right.
makes sense of the kind of the things that I kind of mentioned ahead of time, but we'll get there. We're waiting for people to wake up and join us with their coffee.
They are. So I'm going to repeat again. We have Paul, and Paul is the owner of Rhodes Marketplace out in Sandusky. Hey, Melanie. Um, so Paul, you have like a resale area. You have local artists and vendors, which we have a space in your place of business. And like from day one, when I came in to set up, and you like learned what it is that we do, you were just telling me, these stories and the feeling of the place. Um, so if you're local in Ohio, you're not far from Cedar Point, which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bad thing traffic wise sometimes. The backup traffic to Cedar Point. But you're right off of Route 6 if you come in the back way. Um, So you've got your rage room, your paint room, and you were saying, offline that you notice a lot more of the activity after people are in the rage room.
Yes. So most of the big occurrences are, I would say, after some of the bigger sessions where there's probably, thanks guys, where there's probably, I would say 4 or more people. Some of the more crazier rage room sessions, I mean, because there is some pretty calm ones, but I mean, I'm talking the crazy ones where they're like smashing everything to pieces. Later on, those nights are when we have the more activity, if that makes sense. So I'm waiting to see what happens because I know that this month we have a 17-person session on the 25th and a 20-person session on the 27th. And I know it's going to be very crazy after that because 37 people doing some damage might stir up a little bit of madness. I mean, so that could be interesting.
Now, one of the very first pictures you sent me was this one here. And for our friends watching, if you're able to, zoom in or blow up, and I'm going to put this in our Discord in the next day or so. Thank you. Amy's like our little hype person. Thank you, Amy.
Oh, thank you. I see that now. It just popped out.
And you sent this to me and you're like, what do you see in here? I also showed this to Kayla. Kayla saw this in person at our wine and spirits event. But for our friends that have been following our paranormal talk for years that I used to do with Marianne before she retired, I pulled this picture out and I showed it to her. So any of our friends, if you want to take a guess how many Marianne confirmed in that picture, go ahead and type that in because Marianne did confirm some happenings in that picture. Now, was this the night of the movie screen coming down when this picture was done?
So this was not the night of the movie screen. So this one was interesting. So there was nothing that happened this day. This is actually the break room, which you're familiar with, so I can describe to everybody. The break room is off the vendor floor area, probably, I would say, I don't know, 50 to 80 feet away from the back end of the rage room where the storage area is. So the break room is kind of like the midway point between the entry door in the front and the exit door in the back. It's very interesting because, as you see, the door is shut. Normally, I shut the door to see if I can see anything because when the door is open, it still catches headlights and all that. But this is one of the nights that the door was actually shut. And that's what made it interesting to me.
Okay.
Because the camera in there has no flash. So those cameras are all motion-based, face recognition. Like I told you, they're not high end, but they're pretty close. I mean, they're there. I mean, but they do face recognition and they do sound and motion, and that's what sets them off for the quick snap that they do. And that doorway there is actually going into the photo studio, which sadly that camera is facing this way, so it wouldn't catch the door. It's actually like 6 feet off the door. Gotcha. I kind of wish it would have faced the door in this situation.
So the first thing that I noticed when you sent it, I kind of circled it a little bit. Like there is like an anomaly. I can't never say that word. There's a thing.
Anomaly, yeah.
Yes, that word. Kind of where that pillar is. And Marianne did confirm that. And it's a little hard to see. There is one kind of on the upper part of that door. So Marianne did confirm the two. And then my question would be for Kayla, like, are you picking up anything about either one of these in this picture from what you can see?
Yes. It's kind of hard without the other picture that I kind of asked you some things about before this, and I don't want to jump ahead or kind of confuse people here, but I definitely feel like this is tied to the next event picture that we're going to talk about. I think it's the next one anyway. It has a couple things in there. I feel like these are watchers, but one of them feels like a very shady person to me. Like they're infiltrated into what is going on long before this building was ever built, like long before this building. The things I'm picking up here have nothing to do with this building, more to do with land and past history. And a building that seems to have been there before, much more modest, smaller building. I don't know how much detail you want me to give on that and why I'm saying this, or if you want me to wait till the next thing. It's kind of up to you.
Well, that depends on which picture you think, or do you want me to show next?
So, not the flying one, the other one.
Okay.
For lack of better terms. So, in this one, I see a ton going on of all ages, children included in this. What I was picking up is that there was, I'm not for sure about your history in this area, but a lot tied to the Underground Railroad and people being transported. But it wasn't just Underground Railroad. There seemed like there was other things going on. So I kind of asked Melissa about this a little bit, and she gave me a very vague answer, as people like to do to paranormal things. She's like, you can find out when we talk about this.
That's right.
So we said there was some. So what I see is not this room. I see another building, basically like a shack built there with people huddled into it. I also pick up these two men that were like watchers. One was actually genuinely trying to help people. The other was really just kind of basically a spy trying to figure out how they could get in and attack these people, and take them back to where they thought they belonged, right? Back to slavery, back to some other things. There was definitely, I didn't see anything about like selling people, but it was more like trafficking of people. I feel a lot of fear, a lot of illness, a lot of people that got sick from this, a lot of stress, anxiety, all those things. No surprise to me that you have really bad headaches from this, and I honestly fully anticipate them to get worse. The more activity you have in the rage room, like you said, it acts up then, makes total sense. You're putting fear back into these spirits. They have since crossed over. I also definitely feel, before I go into that, I definitely feel that there's a lot of unmarked graves in that area. So I don't know if there's any history on that, if there's any way for you guys to find out more about that. I definitely feel like there's a whole section of land right near there that is unmarked graves. But the rage room, you're throwing in all their fears, what they went through, the, beating and whipping and smashing of things. You're just refueling all of that. So even though they have since passed, there's part of them that's still kind of like a residual energy hanging out there. And so when you're doing those things, you're definitely, you're feeding their worst fears, basically. And some of them are going to get malicious, right? Some are going to want to fight back and come after you for that because you're the one providing that service. And some are going to just kind of hide in the corner. So you're going to have a little bit of everything in there. Do your ears ring a lot in the spaces too?
Not often. The night that, which there was not even a rage room that night, the night that I was talking about how I had the headache, I was just there by myself cutting some wood because I'm building a pond in the front. I was there by myself, and I was in the middle of cutting probably the third 2x4 or 2x3. I'm sorry. I was in the middle of cutting the third one, and I heard something, and it made me kind of like let go of the trigger on the saw. And I thought someone was talking to me, so I stopped. I walked around to make sure I didn't have the door unlocked or anything. I had the light on in the storeroom of the rage room, but not the actual room that you see here in this picture. But there was no activity in that room itself. And I checked all the cameras. There was no activity. There was also no one there. That was the day that I had the headache. I wouldn't say it was intense in the beginning, but it started to get heavier. And then after I did a walk around, I said, I'm just going to go home for the night. And when I went home, everything was fine.
Yeah.
I went back there probably a day or two after, started cutting again. The headache started again. I put it maybe to the fact that I was out in the heat all day, but then I heard something talking again. And then since then till now, I've had the night terrors where I'm getting woken up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that makes total sense with this because it's not going to be just that building. It's going to be the land also. So when you're building these things, you're bringing back flashbacks. It's bringing back memories for you. You are definitely having things tag along with you, but I actually see more of the kids coming to you like out of fear. Like I see little kids around you like, oh, this big guy can help us kind of a thing. So I feel like the meaner spirit, the one that's kind of hanging out kind of as this spy, if you will, this undercover guy, he doesn't seem to want to be bothered with you. It's so he can make you feel things, but he doesn't want to be attached to you in any way, shape, or form. I feel like there's too much of a competition of energy there with him. So he's kind of like it's like he doesn't want you to interfere with what he's doing. I won't be surprised if I start actually having some of these like vision things with him, like dreams with him tonight after discussing this, because he doesn't want something to be done about him. So like by discussing him, he wouldn't want somebody to come in and clear him out of there because he wants to maintain his control. And that's where things will start ramping up more. So with him is he just wants to, if he stays out of your way, he can keep control over his people, well, spirits now there. So I feel like the more you're working on, I honestly would just tell them you have no desire to hurt them, harm them, scare them. This is, a different timeline, different time period. I'll, just kind of reassure them like you would a child or a scared person and tell them you're not there to harm them. This is just strictly for a business thing that has nothing to do with their time period or what they went through. Just to kind of reassure them. As far as your headaches, it's definitely going to be good for you to clear when you leave there because it's just going to keep happening to you. Honestly, they're there. So unless you have the building completely cleared and remove them or, which, I mean, you could definitely do if you wanted to, but it might take some of the excitement out of the place also for you. I guess it depends on kind of what your intentions are, but I would definitely do a little bit more for clearing yourself when you go home because they don't feel like they stay attached to you long. It feels like they stay attached to you just long enough to try to get an escape out of that place. But they all seem tethered. Like when I see the spirits starting to leave, I see like these tethers and it just pulls them right back. Like they can only go so far and then they get pulled right back into that area. Not just the spaces, but the land around there. So it's kind of like a yo-yo sort of thing that they can only go so far with you or anybody there for that matter. I'm sure there's going to be some people that are more susceptible to paranormal spiritual things that they might deliberately try to take these things home. There are people, believe it or not, that do that, that go to locations. They'll find out that this is like, has some paranormal things going on. They're like, ooh, I gotta go see what I can get from there kind of a thing. But I mean, I guess you can kind of run with it if you want to also. You can kind of go with I have this paranormal rage room and go with that part. Or if you want to stick with what we would refer to as normal, I guess, go about the route of having it cleared. But I don't see them wanting to cause any harm to you. They just want attention and they want help. So,
I mean, the kids would make sense because I do have a kids' room too, like where my kids hang out and they play. There's a plywood. There used to be a metal door, but there's plywood there now where it stops it because the door didn't seal it all the way. So I sealed it with a piece of plywood. There has been a kid there. This was probably, I would say, right after you guys set up, Melissa, at the business. There was a kid that said they thought they heard someone knocking, like they were trying to get in, and that was the middle of the day, like into the actual playroom. And there's that piece of plywood there, and there's only maybe like that big of a gap at the top. But they said that they felt like someone was knocking. I mean, the kid was 5, 6, said that they heard a knock.
Kids are definitely going to be more sensitive to it, for sure.
Yeah.
As far as seeing and hearing everything.
I mean, so there has been that. I would probably say that a lot of it makes sense. I know that Sandusky has a lot of underground passageways for the railroad. To my knowledge, from what I've been told, and this is just from people through the town, the plaza itself was built on a landfill that was there a long, long, long time ago.
Okay.
So I don't know about burial plots or any of that stuff. I was told it was a landfill. What I know about that being true, I don't know because I haven't done the research. That's just what I've been told from customers that have come in, old owners that have had their businesses there, stuff like that.
Okay. And it's likely that would have been before a landfill too. Like what was dug up at the landfill, what was covered up at the landfill. So I'm in Western New York near Buffalo area, and there's quite a few of those type areas around here too, whether it's from Underground Railroad or slavery, other types of slavery, Native American things. There's quite a bit of poorhouses. We had a lot of poorhouses in this area. So there's a lot of that. They're just unmarked graves. There's things built on top of it now. There's actually like a whole area that is a landfill still now currently that is built on top of unmarked graves. And they just kind of didn't really have to do anything about it, so that's kind of crappy. And I'm sure everybody's heard the Bill Stadium. Everybody believes the Bill Stadium is built on a Native American burial ground, so there's always chaos there, and we never win because of that. But so it definitely will affect things in the future going forward. It just will. Do other people in this plaza have issues as well, or do you feel like it's more with your rage room and that kind of thing?
I feel like the plaza is kind of like I don't know how to put it. What's the word I want to use? Like an uncharted. Like it's one of those things where like we don't talk about Bruno. Like I think everyone in the plaza just kind of keeps to themselves. They don't want to talk about it. I could
Right.
tell that a lot of people in the plaza, the slightest of noise, they get very jumpy, if that makes sense. So like
Yeah.
I think they know what they know, but they don't want to say what they know because they're afraid of being judged for what they know.
Right.
If that makes sense. I think that's a very serious thing. I mean, I have 2 storefronts. Next to me is a hair salon. On the other side is an empty building, and then next to that would be a like a Hispanic market. And then as you start to go around the corner, it's all big stores. Like there's a apartment complex office. There's a Rent-A-Center. There's a Family Dollar. There's more bigger places as you start to go around the corner. The BMV is there. So it's not like there's a lot of smaller businesses. It's more big businesses. I think that a lot of those big business people, they don't want to talk about
Right.
what they would be afraid of, I would say. But
Right.
out of the people that have been in my area, like my actual storefront, the 2 owners before me have both spoken about things. So
Okay.
to me, I don't think it's just my spot. Because like I have a front door camera too, and it goes off periodically through the night, but it's black. And sometimes you see like an arrow that's pointing down. I haven't been able to figure out if that's part of the camera or if that's part of like the way my window looks. I don't know. I got to go there and actually like look at the window and see like is there something there that would make that picture that makes it look like there's an arrow. But there's always like halfway down the picture from night, there's always one arrow that goes like this, and it happens like 5 or 6 times a day where that arrow is pointing down, and it's 2-3 in the morning. So could there be someone walking around in the plaza on the sidewalk at night just trying to make sure things are being ran right? I would say yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely makes sense to me also. So I think you're right on with that. And just so like a thing with cameras, right? Especially when they're near windows or doors, that kind of thing. If a spirit goes by on the outside of that, when IR kicks in, that kind of stuff, it's still going to reflect somewhat in the glass. So it doesn't mean there's not something out there just because you're not getting the image of it. It might have triggered that, and then you're seeing like a glare off of that, but it doesn't mean there's not something like that's actually spiritually going on. I run into that with my own cameras with things too. I have a big glass shelf in my little shop area, and a lot of times at night when something happens, it'll create like a whole nother video. Like if something goes past that, when the IR kicks in, it reflects off the glass and it creates like a whole other series of events. It's usually like something goes over there and looks at things, and it's just so different possibilities there with the technology. But I would definitely say that something is triggering that, and I would say more of the arrow because it's in the same spot is going to be something like that's a stationary thing picking up that, but it's being triggered by something else. A spirit thing. And sorry, I have a lunatic cat that's attacking things in here. That was really loud for everybody.
I mean, even if you look at that first picture that Melissa shared, when you're looking at the break room, at the bottom corner underneath where the camera is, there's that glare. There's nothing in there that emits light.
It should make right.
And the door is shut, and the other room is a sealed 4 walls. There's no doors in that room. The only way into that other room is through that doorway that we've seen those 2 apparitions or anomalies, as you said. That would be the only way to get in there. And the same with the rage room. There's a metal door. I'm pointing at the screen, which doesn't do me any good, but there's a metal door. There's a metal door on a 45-degree angle from that corner of the table that's always shut. And then if you see up there at the top, you can kind of see like where the baseball bats and that are hanging. That's a whole nother room that has another door. There's no way for any actual light to come in there.
Right.
So these 2 rooms are very specific to get into, very specifically placed. There is no way for anything extra to be triggered without it actually being something. And that's the thing with the break room picture. That glare is what caught me more than the other two where Melissa circled. That glare is what caught me off guard, because I even went in there the next day and said, there's nothing in here that could cause that glare in that corner. Nothing. All that's in there is a Keurig and some paper plates and some coffee cups. And the camera doesn't flash. So what would cause that glare on the bottom down there?
I would be interested to look at your Keurig, just because they come in different models, and I don't think the light would be big enough or bright enough, but if a Keurig is there, just to make sure something isn't reflecting from that Keurig.
That's like the devil's advocate of paranormal work, right? Like, we still have to look into, because like I can feel the two, not that everybody can see what I'm putting at, I can feel and see the two other anomalies. The bottom one to me still feels like a reflection. So it can be something as simple as the way the IR pops up. Like, if you have like the white paper plates that are like a little bit glossy on them, that can do it. There's certain things that will like pop up and like reflect that light different than what we would see even with the camera flash. So while I can feel the other two, that to me still feels, in the way that you can see like the crossbar across, like the crossbar in the, sorry, that's not really helping. We need like a little arrow that we can point on the shelves. We need like a little pointer thing that we can use. So the fact that you can see that and it's not completely blocked out leads me to believe that it's a reflection, or that it's not more like covered up. But still, it was triggered by something else, is the thing. It was definitely triggered by things that were going on in that room, and something may have been there that caused it to react that way. But I can definitely see the other two there. There actually feels like a lot, even though this is a very still picture, obviously, and it's not like a blur of spirit. I feel like there's more going on than just those two guys. I feel like there's some conspiring going on with that, and there's more to it than just what the camera's being able to pick up. So that would be my only other, as far as energetic spiritual suggestion, would be that it's picking up the energy of what's going on, like on the land, like from a different time period, right? Like a different scenario is behind that and is projecting that energy. But I definitely agree with Melissa on that, like checking out the shelves for sure to see what's on there and how it reacts. Like to go in there in the dark with the lights off, and like move things in front of that camera that you have, your actual security camera, and see what might be picking up that glow. Would be, you know, just to narrow things down, because sometimes with IR cameras, even if they're trail cameras, sometimes they pick up the weirdest things and make them look like something they're not. So as far as like mediumistically, usually you can sense and feel like what has something to it and what's more of an inanimate object, and this feels more like an inanimate object to me.
Okay. I mean, we do for sure have the two in the photo, going into the photo room, and I after talking to Melissa, I thought about it and I said maybe they're actually look like they're talking, because to me it looks like one is a back and one is a face, so it looks like they would be facing each other, like they're having a conversation.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
No, I mean, I definitely feel like they're talking. I feel like they're. So the big thing I pick up from this picture specifically is that it was a moment, right? A moment captured in time that they're still living, that, you know, reliving is. So they were talking about moving people to the next area, the next phase of what they're doing. Like, this is our pit stop, basically. And I don't feel like this was a very solid, like, this wasn't a regular stop. This was like a temporary stop when they were moving things from another area that got like shut down or invaded by, you know, the safety was breached, basically. So this feels like a temporary location to me for part of the Underground Railroad. And that's where I feel like the one energy feels like it really wants to help, and it's light and it's trying to trust this other guy. And the other guy just feels really dark and heavy to me, like he's against all this and he wants to take these people back to slavery. He wants to take them back to their quote, quote, owners. That kind of thing. And it's just, but he's playing this game, and I feel a lot of manipulation from that spirit specifically. The other one feels very peaceful, wants to help, would be happy to help living people coming into your shop now, wants to help the spirits that are still stuck there. The other one, it's on the right side. That's the one that feels very malicious, manipulative, that kind of thing. Like he kind of plays the game to get what he wants, and he's not on the good side of things.
So I was looking up while you guys were talking. Sandusky was a major spot on the Underground Railroad. It was like a major terminal for people to get up to Canada. So Sandusky was a huge part, of that, of humans trying to get to freedom. So it makes sense. And that's why when you asked like a week or so ago, Kayla, you're like, was it? And I'm like, you will find out later.
I didn't have time to research anything, and for almost a week I had no phone service, and it was fantastic. So,
I do know that there is reports of like the mall being haunted and having spirits, apparitions. That I know that there's been talk that Cedar Point does. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of those two things. So
with this, I hear off the beaten path. Like that was one of the things I picked up when I was first told it was part of the Underground Railroad, but it was off the beaten path. It was a location, like it moved from. This was like a temporary. Like I see it literally as like this shack shed type thing built out of just what they could find, or parts they took from the other location to build this, just to keep people out of elements. And it was supposed to be a safe territory that this guy, obviously he was networked into other guys. This like dark negative guy. He was still letting the people that he was in cahoots with basically let them know, oh, they moved here. Oh, they moved here. So there's like this behind the scenes part of this that I feel like got cut short, but they were, when I do actually see a mass killing there tied to a lot of these people. So there's that. But part of this guy's mission of like being able to expose what was going on and expose locations, I feel like he didn't accomplish everything he wanted to, and he was just not a nice person. And there's part of him that still wants to accomplish that. Like even as all these spirits are passed, he still is like on a mission to like wrangle them up and take them to get toward. And I feel like, so like a scenario that I was shown when I don't know if that was last week. I don't know if I talked to you about that, Melissa. So one of the scenarios I was shown was like the guy that was on the left that was like the more trustworthy. He genuinely wanted to help. When he was gone, this other guy like tortured some of these people. So that's where you're feeding this fear when you're doing these things. Like he was literally torturing and beating people. I do feel like there was like rape things going on. There was a lot going on there. But it's like they were supposed to have a network that they could trust, whether it was like Ohio, New York, wherever. It was like people like us that would have wanted to help, right? Like just normal everyday people. There's unfortunately people that got brought into this that they played the role, and they were really just there to, ruin things for the people that were trying to help. So this guy feels very tied to that area specifically. Like that was his territory, and he wanted to take over that, and he was trying to, blow in everybody in that whole area that you're in.
And what's interesting is that sorry, Melissa, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just going to answer Melanie real quick. Melanie, I'm going to show your stuff next week. Hope you don't mind, but Paul was on a tight schedule, and I'm watching the clock to make sure he's not late on his lunch break. But I do have your pictures set aside for next week. So do that. Now, there was one more picture. We were calling it a flying picture. My childlike mind, when you said this. I'll tell you what it looks like, but I can't say it on air.
Sounds like.
No, but this picture, if you, depending on, our friends who are watching, it is in the same room that this one is in, but on a completely different day and night. And Paul, did anything happen before or right after this picture of voices knocking, things like that going on?
No. So the first picture you showed was right after a session of the rage room. We cleaned it, left, went outside because I forgot why we went straight outside. We went outside for something, and then the camera caught it, and we all ran back in to try to see if we could catch what was there, and it was already gone. This picture is from a completely different day. I believe if I could see the time right on there, it says 3 o'clock in the morning. Or does it say 1?
1:03.
Yeah, so 1:03 a.m. No one was even there. And that would be a completely, that's when the business is shut down. There's no one in the building at all. So to say if I heard anything, I wasn't there at that time.
Okay. So Kayla, with this, do you feel like this is like a weird presentation of an earthbound? Is this an elemental? Is this
Not human. Yeah, we'll start there. So not
okay?
human.
Nor was it ever human?
No. However, I do also feel some native spirit tied to it. I definitely feel like it's more of an energetic anomaly, if you will. Like not a spirit anomaly. It's like a let's put it this way. If you could see a lot of things that happen during energy healing or clearings, a lot of times it looks like these moving white pieces, right? They're like moving to different areas. This feels like a energy that moves through all those spaces, not just yours. It goes through that whole area. And to me, it feels native, tied to native. Basically, it's like a native protection is what I see it as, like a native protector trying to protect their land and themselves from this, and it keeps going through there. When I first saw it, it's like, oh, it had like this kind of almost like negative, like intense feeling. And I realized it was literally trying to purge out negative energies is what I was like. That was the initial, oh, like I felt it in my chest. So the two little dots below it, and there's kind of some other like faded ones.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Those to me feel like the children. So that I picked up in the other picture. And so, the interesting thing is a lot of times, extraterrestrial things, alien things will come through like this too. But I do see fairly often connections between aliens and Native Americans for things. And kind of like the energy being channeled into some of their work as far as other planetary things. So I feel like that little blob, because we can't call it what we see it as, it's a lot of things packed into one little package. Like think of it almost like as a medicine pouch kind of thing. And it's coming through and it's trying to help the people that are there. It's trying to help other spirits in that whole plaza and that area, not just, I think it's pretty unique that you have this caught actually. There are things that people will sense when they're out in nature, that kind of thing, but you don't always get to see them.
Now, since we need to wrap up here soon, so Paul's not late. For the children that are, nervous and scared, and the other spirits, especially when the rage room is happening, because I know Paul isn't doing it on purpose to scare them at all. Very nice guy.
It was not the intention by any means,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Should he maybe do something like create a safe area in the building for those spirits to go when the rage room is, going on? Or like, how can he help the spirits and the land continue like more healing and not be causing him problems in his business?
So they feel pretty stuck to that specific room, to be honest. It would take a little bit of work. I don't know if it's going to be a quick process for you to just be like, oh, I'm just going to make a safe spot for them. It would definitely take making a safe spot, kind of coercing them there over time. It's not going to be like a one-day thing. It'd be basically creating a calming area and letting them slowly like, I know it doesn't sound weird to us that talk with spirits all the time, but it might sound a little weird to actually like have conversations with them and like calmly tell them, just like you would tell your own kids, like, it's okay, come stay over here, it's safe. And then the next day, it's okay, come stay over here, look, there's these things. And I put some basic childhood things, like not crazy toys like our kids have now, but like a soft doll or something that would seem more natural for that time period. Blankets, like something that's like soft and comforting, not like a loud. I feel like anything that's going to be loud is going to be traumatic for them. But it's not going to be a really quick process. I mean, you could definitely have somebody come in and clear them. I don't know that you want to though. So they have crossed over, but they're also still residual and they're less in there. And I think acknowledging them and acknowledging their trauma and their hurt and the abuse that was done to them, their wrongdoing, I think that will go a long way. Just I now understand that what you're put through, and I now know this guy was not trustworthy, and I can be trusted. I'm not going to hurt you. The people that I have coming in here are not going to hurt you. if there's anything I would focus on, it would be getting rid of that negative spirit. None of these other ones are harmful. They're just being traumatized because the energy lingering from that nasty guy there. I feel like the mood would lighten just from getting rid of that one thing. Your headaches, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, the kids seem to cling to you. That's just the energy draw, and that's going to cause headaches also, besides the mean guy. Any kind of energy draw like that with spirits is going to cause a headache.
Well, I'm okay with the kids. I mean, I got plenty of my own kids. I mean, so kids seem to draw to me even when it's someone else's kids, so I'm used to that.
Right.
The only issue we've really had is that screen being, I mean, tore down. I mean, no one's product's been moved, no one's stuff's been moved. Um, you see again, we're pointing at the screen. You see how when it swoops, that angled part of it is literally facing the storeroom where I have all the totes with all the glass and the TVs.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a solid metal door there, and then behind that is a huge storeroom that goes right into the kids' room. I mean, which is where I blocked it off with the plywood. I mean,
Right.
so there is a secluded room there, and then that hallway goes all the way down and back up to the top of the rage room, which is after the weapons and after that wall, that's where I was cutting the wood. So somewhere in that hallway, back and forth between that storeroom and the rage room, it seems like that's where they're the most trapped. But then that break room is another 2 to 3 more rooms over from where this picture was taken. So it's like they have ventured out further. I mean, it's interesting to see. And I've only caught it so many times.
Right.
I mean, but like the camera goes off 150 times a day. I mean, I would have to look at each notification, but like during the daytime.
Every little fruit fly that goes by, all that stuff gets, yeah.
But I mean, I'm very interested to see, like, I don't feel that they're attacking me when I'm there, even the mean one. I feel like more or less they're just there.
Yeah.
And some parts of me feels like maybe they want to see what's happening. And some parts of me feel like you said, they're confused. Like they're stuck. They're stuck decades behind. And here I am. And what I was going to tell you, before Melissa had said about me having so much time left, the rage room itself, those walls that you see down the side, in the picture would be the left. I built those with other pieces of wood that were laying around in the business. Like you said, quote unquote, built a shack out of random whatever laying around. I
Right.
built those walls out of random whatever was laying around.
Gotcha.
So that ties me to them in that aspect of I built something the same way they did, and I turned it into a room the same way they would have made a room.
Right.
So I don't know, because since the rage room's been built, even when it wasn't being used, that's when the activity started. It didn't
Right.
start really until then. I had a little bit after Melissa set up her shop stuff there, just a little bit, not much, but
Hey,
it's gotten more intense since I put that wall up, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
If you made changes, you built something, you started triggering the emotions that were going on, right? Like they finally just got settled in. Keep in mind that they got moved from place to place for a while before they could make it to Canada or to the next safe place, right? So every time somebody new comes into that plaza, every time somebody new comes into the section that you have, that's a new, right? That's a new change for them. That's just like them getting moved to the next location. Only they're stuck in that spot, but somebody else keeps coming in and changing it, right? So you're refueling all of that, and I really feel only that one spirit is like just a not nice one. He's not going to mess with you because he doesn't want the competition with his. He almost doesn't want to be blown in. Is really what it comes down to. And like you knowing that, you're the one that can blow him in now. Like you're the one that can blow him into being the spy and the the manipulator, that kind of thing. So I think with you, he tries to keep a low key profile because he doesn't want to be removed from the whole situation. The rest of them I feel are fine. I don't feel like there's anything like, harmful at all from any of them. Like I said, the kids hang out. I think the kids hang out with your kids too. Anybody's kids that would come in there, like they want to see that because it's like, ooh, that's like what freedom is, right? They don't know what that's like. I would honestly just leave soft, cushy things around for them because they don't have those simple pleasures, right? Even if it's a couple blankets and a couple like small travel pillows in a small area, just kind of do that. Even if it's like when you leave and you just toss them on the floor in there, but I think they just need some comfort. Like they don't have comfort. If you're open to playing some like soft music, whether it's native music or just other type of like some sort of calming meditation music, something you would use to put your kids to sleep, that kind of thing, just to give them a sense of it's okay, it's peaceful here. What we're doing here and now isn't going to hurt you or affect you in your time period when you pass. We have no intention of doing any of these things to you.
Okay. I still have time, Melissa, so I have to ask you the question I've never asked you.
Uh-oh.
Since you've come into the venue, I know I've asked your mom, since you've come into the venue, have you felt anything?
Honestly, when I've been there, I'm coming in with the purpose, either pulling in product, coming out. Like I was there very briefly yesterday, picking up candles on a tight schedule because I needed to get them an hour back to my store to pack them and ship them. I have not had time to really focus and feel. I'm there. I'm like, I got to get this done. I got to do this. We're here,
Yeah, I think we get guilty of that because people will ask me things when I stop. Like, oh, did you feel this? Or like we were at like a haunted restaurant. Oh, did you notice it? And I'm like, no, I wanted to eat. Damn it, I was getting hangry. Like I wasn't paying attention to what was dead hanging out around me. So I think we're kind of guilty of that. Like when we have something else on like a human task on mind, like sometimes we just get like over focused on it, and we get so used to hearing things and feeling things. Like even in my house, sometimes when people stay at my house, they're like, do you notice this? I'm like, no, Eileen, she's been dead for years. She just hangs out here. I let her stay because it was her house. Like she's not bothering me. So like you get used to certain things or hearing things. So like unless it's something like this where you're like directly asking, it's kind of hard to like acknowledge it, I guess, because we just kind of tune it in.
I really, and as this has been going on, I'm like, I need to plan a day to really take the time to go sit, in the back.
I would like to come visit next time I'm there too, if that's okay. I would really like to pop in.
and try to really just like shut out the monkey mind, the business mind, the I got to aspects, and like pay attention to what's going on in the building right now. And, pick that up because unfortunately, my protection, is so, in place that unless I make that point, I'm not gonna.
I know your mom has said things to me a few times when she comes in, where she comes in and she'll talk to me mid-sentence and she just stops and she just does a quick like look around and I'm like, what's going on? She goes, I feel something. I'm like, girl, don't mess with me today. Like just come straight out and tell me what's going on, because like there has been times where she will literally stop dead sentence and be like, there's something here, I could feel it. I'm like, okay. So I mean, your mom has definitely said something. And I've had at least one or two different people I know say there's something. I just can't tell you what it is. And that's why I asked. But like I do get that scatterbrained constantly. I gotta go. That's me. So like I haven't actually taken the time, and that's why I'm happy to have this moment to be able to talk about it, because there's been a lot on my mind. Like, what if I was to? What would I see? What if I was to? What would happen? Like, could I stay there one night after hours and just chill and sit in a chair and just hang out and see what happens? Like, what if I did? Like, I ask myself these questions all the time, and then I go, oh, yeah, but I got 150,000 other things I got to do. When do I have time?
Exactly.
But, I mean, it is on my to-do list somewhere from top to bottom on the bucket list to sit in the business after hours and see what happens. I mean, it would be kind of cool to do. Because I want to see who's there. I want to know about them. I want to know about their history. I want to know what they've experienced.
I need a road trip sooner than September, maybe. Then we can do like a small little come hang out thing.
Well, that's a kind of a good lead in, because you and we talked about you possibly opening up the prospect of people coming in and doing like ghost hunts.
Yes.
In the back of the building. And, I'm going to throw the phone number for the business up into chat. So if anybody's interested, get a hold of Paul. I just brought the bus up to you. Didn't quite run you over, Paul, but
you're fine.
If
you're fine. I've been run over by that bus plenty of times. No, you're okay.
That's also the same phone number if somebody wanted to do the rage room or the paint room that you have.
We now added a new version of the rage room too, with paint bottles.
Oh.
You can actually smash bottles of paint, bottles that have paint in them, and then in the rage room we have a nightmare mode, which I'm sorry has nothing to do with the fact that we have ghosts and spirits. The lights are off and you actually throw glow in the dark paint. So we have that too.
I'd probably get hit with something, but
probably. I have a fear that it's going to happen to me too one day when I'm in there, but you know.
Yeah, we may have to plan, you know, 2 or 3 of us just sitting there after hours. Maybe we'll even make it a live, you know,
Well,
for
that's the
people
thing
to
with
sit
us.
with us.
We don't really use paranormal equipment. We like use ourselves, maybe some dowsing type things, but we don't come in with, you know, all the fancy equipment. It's just not our. I think I have a recorder, and that's about it because I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I
And
have an EVP thing, so I could bring that.
I think that would make them like do more because then they don't feel like they're actually being, as people would say, hunted. You know what I mean? We would feel like we're just one of them. They wouldn't feel as aggressed, if that makes sense. I don't know. You guys are the experts, not me. But
I mean, that's honestly why I stopped doing a lot of paranormal work with teams, is because I'm not going in like, if something wants help, I'm there to help it. I'm not going to make it stay trapped there because somebody wants it for entertainment value, that kind of thing, you know? So, I mean, that's a disclaimer for me. If I come into your space and there's something that really, like, there's things that just don't care to leave, but there's other things that might be like, can you please get me out of here? I'm kind of like obligated spiritually to do that.
please do that. I would rather them live a better life on that side of the realm that they're in than be stuck.
We suck. Okay. Because that's one of my, I mean, that's honestly why I backed away a lot from it, is just because my conscious, I don't want to leave something. I wouldn't leave those dogs stuck on the side of the road with no water and no food either, you know? So, I mean, to me, just because it's a spirit and it's already gone, doesn't seem fair to leave it in that same situation.
No, because it deserves to have a life that it deserves to have, even if it's on the other side. I mean, so I respect that 100%. And if that's what happens when you come out, then that's what happens. And, you know,
Yeah.
I wish that spirit luck on their next path.
I feel like you'd have plenty to come through after. Like if we worked on just what was there, just here and now, right? Like the stuff that we just talked about, there would just be like another wave, like probably more with the native spirits or another group of them that comes. But like this is the group that you have now hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, once you get rid of this one, you know, I'll have like 5 or 6 more that'll come stay for a little bit. You know, I mean, why not?
Sometimes there's spaces like that. Sometimes there's like spaces that are kind of meant to be almost like a vortex, if you will, that like draw in the next round of. It doesn't mean they're negative things. It's like, oh, this group got cleared out because they weren't the only group that came through with Underground Railroad either, right? So it's like,
I mean, and they could be scared of the other groups too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, or they could be there trying to help the other groups, or they're waiting for that group to leave so they can take over. I mean, it's all a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. So.
Well, I guess me and also like to talk about me figuring out. I have a kind of crazy schedule, and I don't know that weekends are going to work anytime soon. Is the problem? But we can figure something out.
Yeah. So customers or attendees are going to bring in some followers along the line too. So
Yeah.
you have a rotating door, you know, coming and going. That's the downside of a public place. But we do have in November a seance with Greg. So all of our local people, November 15th, a seance with Greg, purposely scheduled in your building in the back room for all those fun things to happen. So, and Greg has tried to drive by and to stop in. He's like, oh, they're either not open or, again, Cedar Point traffic, just making him run too late to where he couldn't completely stop in. Like, I think he came through by on a Monday, and I'm like, Greg, I told you they're not open Mondays. She's like, well, I'm standing in the parking lot, and that's really interesting in there. I'm like, well, okay.
I do. I mean, if you were to give him my number, if he wanted to show up like at a random time, that's fine too. Like I could let him in if he just wants to call me. I'm all for any of that. I mean, you know how I am at the Rhodes Marketplace. Like I tell you, like I'm very diverse. I love diversity. I'll allow anything in as long as it's not going to harm me or anybody else. I mean, so if every spirit in the area wants to come in, just come on in. I rent spaces out. If you want to sell your stuff, be my guest. You know, so.
So Amy's like asking if it'll be live. Kayla and I, if we're sitting there with Paul, I'll put a little bit of it up on live, depending how long we're there and what's going on. Sometimes during the seances, we'll go live for a little bit just to let people see what's happening. We usually don't do the whole seance live because that's unfair to the people who paid to be there.
Yeah.
And during those sessions, personal stuff will come up for people, and it's not everybody else's business. So, you know, little bits here and there, but if Kayla and I can arrange a time for Kayla to come in before September and we come sit out in the evening and just see what happens. We'll be live for that. You guys might see a whole bunch of darkness because I'm sure we'll be sitting in the dark. Just
You mean our light won't radiate? And
Oh, geez, here we go. Here we go.
so. But thanks for joining us, guys. As you can see, Paul's got to get back into work. And
Yeah,
Taylor,
sadly, I'm like, all right, I got to go.
do that work time.
yeah, thanks for joining, Paul. You guys,
Thank
we
you.
put
It was nice
the
meeting you.
phone number
Thank
in.
you guys for having me.
If you guys are local and you want to check out the Rage Room or the Marketplace and the local vendors and artists, please go see them. And or if you're interested in the paranormal side, shoot him a message, and he'll get you squared away. Kayla, you're going to be in for Wine and Spirits, and hopefully before then to go play at Rhodes. But
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out. So we'll get a list of some days that might work for you, Paul, and we'll see what happens from there.
I'm
So.
all good any day you need.
all
Okay.
right.
Make it available, and then we'll do it.
Okay.
Well,
Sounds
thanks, guys.
good.
We'll see you next Wednesday. We have some pictures from one of our friends here. Melanie sent us pictures, really interesting from a cemetery and things that have shown up there. So we'll be showing those for you guys next week,
Thank you,
10
ladies.
a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having me, guys.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.